For 30 days I painted nothing but still lifes. No supervillains, no science fiction characters or anything fun like that. Just fruits on tables. But why? Isn't still life painting, well, boring? It might seem like that, but it turns out there's actually a very specific reason it's often touted as a great exercise, especially for beginners. And pros like Andrew Tischler or Chris Fornataro show that you can turn even the most simple things, like a pumpkin for example, into astonishing pieces of art. So there has to be something about still life painting, and I really wanted to find out what it is. On October 26th, I grabbed all my equipment and started right away. I fired up Google and Pinterest and tried to find the coolest, well, let's be real here, the easiest still life references. And off I went. Unfortunately, I forgot to record the first painting, but it was a nice start. It had some nice contrast and saturation and clear shadows that made it pop. Otherwise, my first couple of paintings were hit or miss, really. I was motivated to paint the second one, but it turned out rather bad. I just didn't use enough contrast while painting. And to be honest, painting the textures of the oranges overwhelmed me by a long shot. It just didn't look realistic at all. I tried to go for something easier in the next one. Well, easier is what I hoped at least. Just some simple bananas with hard shadows and a few bottles, right? Nope. I kinda hated it while painting. It just didn't feel right. Looking at it now, I think it does look okay though. Needless to say, I wasn't very motivated anymore at this point. But luckily, the next one should turn out to be a pleasant surprise. I painted these simple peppers with basic colors and wasn't really sure where it was going. But wow, as soon as I added highlights, these things really started looking like actual peppers. Cool, right? Highlights can really enhance your whole painting fast. And what's more, the painting really started to come together as soon as I added the cast shadows. Pure black, hard edges, but they really helped to get that final, somewhat realistic look. I kinda gave up at the knife stage though. Next, we got another bad one unfortunately. It was frustrating and I just quit at some point. So let's skip this one, shall we? At that stage of my project I still had some bones to pick with oranges, so I went back to paint some more of these. And what can I say, this one should become my best still life painting yet. Unfortunately, I felt like the reflections on the can didn't work that well. But the textures on the oranges became awesome. They are obviously just dots in different colors, 3 that is, but I just put in way more time this time. And I do think it shows in the result. Also, I discovered a secret superpower. These little shadows right beneath objects. They are even darker than the cast shadows. They are pretty much black, or at least very dark, because basically no light can get to this area. They are called occlusion shadows, and they can really enhance the overall feeling of realism in your painting. By now it's October 31st, Halloween, but instead of painting monsters or anything like that, I tried to take my little painting project to the next level. I needed help for that. And who could be better for that than him, the paint coach on YouTube? Yes, it's Chris Fornataro, who I mentioned in the intro. I wanted to see how a pro like him paints a still life, and what exactly he teaches his students. And by far the biggest lesson I got from one of his videos is this. Put your darks first. You can always go lighter. I decided to try this out in my next painting. But to be honest, it was harder than I thought. It's easy to put down the dark values first. But then what? I wasn't really happy with this one. By now you should have started to notice a pattern. But once again, everything came together as soon as I added some details and cast shadows. The latter pull everything together and make it seem like the objects are part of the scene. Also, the details help sell the illusion of the objects being, well, apples. A big problem here was the bowl. I just couldn't seem to get the gradient right. So at some point I said and went for the blending tool.
Dirty cheater.
And then it hit me. Once I saw the thumbnail of my painting, it looked good. Actually, almost all my paintings look good when I zoomed out. So, was it just the details and rendering? Was I on the right track? In the next one, new fruits entered the building. Pears and grapes. The reference photo seemed deceivingly simple, but I can still remember how this one took ages to get right. But once again, this one looked good when zoomed out. I started to get more and more confident in my abilities. I decided to take a break from fruits and opted for a challenge. I painted something with different materials like metal. And what can I say? I honestly kinda surprised myself. This one actually looked fairly realistic. I continued on that path and fulfilled my lifelong dream of painting an origami swine. And while painting, I noticed something very interesting. I found myself copying shapes. So I wasn't thinking about what I was painting anymore, like an apple or a pepper, but about the value and color of shapes. Also, by now I had really sharpened my digital brush and blending skills. Mixing colors and creating smooth gradients kinda became like second nature. At that point, I also got the hang of painting on a tablet with an integrated display. This was really a game changer and a lot of fun. It's a completely different feeling than painting on a regular tablet. Check out my affiliate link in the description to learn more and get a 30% discount. And I felt like I can paint anything. Full of energy, I started painting some flowers. But then it happened. After 10 paintings, fatigue set in. It was a long painting with kind of a bad result. That's what I felt at least. I hadn't been painting for a few days. Had I just become rusty? Self-doubt started to creep in like a cockroach. Was I just not paying enough attention to detail? Was it the missing contrast? The next day I tried another one, strawberries and bananas. I got this one to look alright at some point, but I was just so bored painting it. I was like, what's the point? Fatigue set in again, and then it happened. I didn't paint at all for about 10 weeks. At least not fruits on tables. I just couldn't do it anymore. And honestly, I felt like a failure. Why couldn't I finish even a simple project of painting something for 30 days? And what about the video? I painted 12 still lifes is not really impressive, right? So time went by and I just focused on other things. But there was always this nagging feeling that I couldn't just give up. No, I'm stronger than that. So I gathered all my willpower for one final still life painting. One last painting to test what I learned and to act as the final chapter in my project. And I feared this one. By now it's been almost 3 months since my last still life painting. Could I still do it, or would I fail miserably? I knew from before that zooming out would help, and I already knew about the power of occlusion shadows and cast shadows. Armed with this knowledge, I went ahead and it actually went surprisingly well. One final lesson I should learn is that you don't need really dark shadows on objects. The form shadows weren't that dark compared to the cast shadows, which were pretty much black, but the pairs still looked three-dimensional. What really helped add to this effect was also the reflected light and the highlights. Fast forward to today, was this experiment a success? Yes, because still life painting can be fun. Because painting is fun. Painting anything can be fun. And you can paint anything if you concentrate on shapes and values, and not on the actual objects you are painting. And that's the reason still life painting is often recommended to beginners. It's that most fruits, for example, are made up of very simple shapes. This takes away the frustration of having to create a perfect underdrawing. And most importantly, this project got me painting, probably more than in a long time. And that was my main goal. If you need some more motivation to get started painting, check out the video on the screen right now. It will show you all the reasons why you are not making progress and how to get out of a rut. Thanks for watching and see you next time.